so you want to be a Nightwalker. So you like throwing stars, but you want to spend most of your time jumping. Then you've come to the right class. In the beginner tab, there's not many special skills, but I guess I'll just hover over them. So you get a flash jump, increased luck, you can teleport back to a Reeve, you get a mobbing skill in beginner tab, which is crazy to me. You can increase the max level of Empress's Blessing by 6. And that's about it. Alright, so in first job, you get Lucky 7. And this just allows you to throw 2 stars, hitting 1 enemy. Again, not a mobbing skill, so it's not too crazy, but it does hit twice, so that's good. Dark Elemental. When you use it, you can now poison enemies. And not only do you poison enemies, but there's also a chance to put a... with the mark it poisons enemies. But with the mark also allows you to ignore enemy defense, I believe by 4% per stack. So you can see it says 1 times 1, so that means it has 1 stack, and I ignore, 4% enemy defense. And that's per stack, so later on you can stack it up to, I believe, 5 times. But anywho, then we move on to Haste, which just improves you and your party members' speed and jump. Darksight allows you to slip into the darkness and avoid enemy attacks. However, if the enemies have a % HP attack, you will then... You'll still dodge it, but the cooldown for Darksight will apply, so that you won't be able to go back into Darksight for... what was it, 3 seconds? Oh, goodness. Never mind. So you can... It's 3 seconds, but it stacks up to 5 times, so that's a pretty long time. But it can save you, so that's good. Shadow Dodge. This will allow you to do a backstep, which gives you invincibility, as well as moves you, away from danger. And you're also immune to knockback when you use it. Has a cooldown of 5 seconds, though. And then we have Shadow Jump, which improves the beginner flash jump. You can now do it twice, and it has a cool animation. Just like bats and stuff. I am the Night Walker. Sorry, bad joke. So, it also has a passive effect where if you're in the air and you throw a star, that star gains 10% final damage. Or that skill, I should say. So you're going to be doing a lot of jumping. And then finally we have Shadow Bat. And when you activate it, because it's a toggle skill, so you can activate it and deactivate it, when you hit an enemy 3 times, you summon a bat. And this bat will help you with your mobbing severely. I believe in first job it does 150% damage, and it can only bounce up to 3 times? Let me make sure. Let me read this skill. So yeah, every 3 times that you hit an enemy with a throwing star, you can summon up to 2 bats. The bats then have a 35% chance to do 150% damage that bounces 3 times. Oh, also it has another effect where the first time it bounces, it'll heal 1% of your HP. And then its damage is also increased 10% when it's attacking normal monsters. So it's actually 160% damage. Alright, so before I get into second job, I want to talk about jump canceling? Not jump canceling. Jump attacking. So when you do a normal attack, you're actually attacking slower than if you jump an attack. So the way that you do this is you have to hold down the what is it? You know what? I'll actually link a video, because I do remember that someone said it has to do with sticky keys. However, since I have an old keyboard, I don't have to, worry about that. But as you can see, the attack speed is pretty severe when you're jump attacking compared to regular attacking. So, yeah. So for me, I just hold down the attack key as well as the jump key. I press them pretty much at the same time and then hold them both down. But it may be different for you if you have a newer keyboard. This one's from super old. But anyway. Like I said, I'll link a video that explains sticky keys and how you can do this. Probably, you know what, I'll go over this again at the end of the video, after bossing, or maybe during bossing, or a little bit before bossing, I don't know. So next we have Second Job, and in Second Job you get Triple Throw, which is pretty much a stronger version of Lucky 7, where you throw 2 stars, but now there's a 3rd star. And the 2 stars that you threw previously are now stronger, and a 3rd star, of course, is just a 3rd star. So you throw 2, and then finally, the final hit is just a single line of the last star. And then you have Throwing Booster, which increases your attack speed by 2. Throwing Mastery, Critical Throw, Physical Training. So these 2 passives I will go over. Adaptive Darkness. This makes it so that the Mark of Darkness can apply, or has a 5% more chance to apply? Is that the way to say that? Anyway, so it increases the chance to apply by 5%. It also increases the stacking limit, so instead of stacking, what was it, like 1 time or 2 times or something? Yeah, instead of only stacking 2 times, it now stacks 3 times. And also the damage over time gets increased, the damage it does, and the amount of defense you ignore gets increased from 4 to 5. And then we have Bat Affinity, which, just like, you know, Adaptive Darkness, is just an upgrade to the previous Bat skill. The attack chance is increased from 35 to 40, because it increases by 5%. The max summon limit is increased by 1, so now you can have 3 bats. And the max enemies hit is increased by 1. Oh, and of course the damage is increased as well. So, pretty much whenever you see these 2 skills, it'll mean that it gives you like +1 to something, like +1 bat or +1 stack when you're talking about the darkness skill. So just think about, like, I'm probably not going to go over that again, but yeah. Quad Star. So Quad Star makes you throw 3 stars and then a final, like, you know, 4th star with its own line. So the first 3 stars will hit, and then the final star. There's not really much to say about those skills, they're just, you know, normal. Of course, the last star does do more damage than the 3 stars. Now we have a dedicated mobbing skill, Shadow Spark. And this is a penetrative star. Penetrative? Is that the right word? But it can penetrate through enemies, and when it reaches its maximum distance, it explodes. The explosion actually does more damage than the star itself, but if enemies are at the, you know, the max distance it can go, it'll get hit by the star as well as the explosion, doing, you know, 2 times the damage. So it's a pretty good mobbing skill, actually. A lot of people say Nightwalkers have bad mobbing. It's not as it's not as flashy or amazing as some other classes, but it's not that bad, honestly. When I get into the mobbing, you'll see. And then we have Dark Servant, which is like your shadow partner. You summon an extra version, like a clone of yourself, that does 70% of your damage, and yeah, increases the amount of lines you do. So, unlike Shadow Partner from most other classes, this one actually has a bit of a delay. So when you attack, it waits, and then it attacks. So it's not like along with you. It's like a little bit after you. It also mentions that the Dark Servant will not get affected by attack reflection. So I guess if you attack, right? And DR is like the animation's going through, and you're like, oh no, my shadow's gonna hit it, then you don't have to worry. It's not gonna get you killed. You yourself can get killed though, if you attack. Anyway, Spirit Projection. So this gives up, what is it? 100 throwing stars. So, you know, 100 throwing stars from here, in order to allow you to throw unlimited stars for 180 seconds. Enveloping Darkness, Alchemist thing. So again, these 2 skills, it just increases, you know, the mark, how many times you can mark. The defense rate gets increased, or the ignore defense rate. For the bats, you get 1 more bat, you can do more damage, and so on. Darkness Ascending. This will save you from death 1 time. So if your HP goes down to 0, this will pretty much save you from dying and also recover 50% of your HP. If you have a lot of bats out, like, you know, the bats flying around you, every bat will recover 10% of your HP. And you're also invincible while the skill's activating, and 2 seconds after it is done. And now we have 4th job. So you get Quintuple Star. And this throws 4 stars, and then a final, like, explosion star, explosive star or something. Of course, the last star that you throw does the most damage, but the 3 stars don't do, you know, terrible damage. And then we have Dark Omen, which allows you to put down, like, I don't even know what to call this, but it's great for mobbing. It's like a little summon that you have, really. And it'll summon 1 bat per 3 enemies that it hits. So it's pretty much like, you know, your normal skill. The one where you hit 3 enemies and then it summons a bat. Pretty much like that, but better. So you always have, like, max bats, basically, when you use this. It's also, like I said, good for mobbing. It has a cooldown of 20 seconds. However, the cooldown is decreased by 0.5 seconds per Dark Attribute attack. So that includes any of the throwing attack, like throwing star attacks, and yeah, pretty much all of your attacks except for Shadow Bat and Dark Omen. But anyway, I guess I'll just stick to saying throwing star attacks. So this will pretty much have no cooldown later on when you get the cooldown cutter. Next we move on to Shadow Stitch, which will bind enemies, and depending on how many enemies you bind, the duration that they're bound is increased by a bit. So normally you can only bind them for 10 seconds, but if you bind up to like 15 enemies, I believe it binds them for 13 seconds, if I remember correctly. So yeah, you do have 100% knockback resistance when you're holding down the skill. You don't really have to hold it down, that's only to make the darkness spread, so that you can bind over a bigger area. And yeah, the max enemies you can bind is 15. And you can bind them for, oh, it's only 7 seconds actually, not 10 seconds. That is underwhelming. However, it increases by 1 second for every enemy hit. So I guess when you're binding a boss, it's only 7 seconds instead of just 10. That's not so good. But anyway. Alright. Has a pretty long cooldown, but it's okay. Throwing Expert. Dark Blessing. Adaptive Darkness, the final upgrade. And Bat Affinity, final upgrade. So now you can have like 5 bats and attack a bunch of enemies. And of course for this you now have, 5 stacks, which means you... oh god, what is it? 4, 5, 6, 7? So now you ignore 7% enemy defense, which stacks 5 times. You ignore 35% enemy defense? Math, I'm bad at it. Anywho, so now we get another passive called Vitality Siphon. And when you attack, you get added HP. Your max HP increases by 400 per stack. So as I'm attacking enemies, you'll see that my HP increases. So right now I have, 12,000 whatever. And as I attack enemies, the max HP will increase. So now I'm at 14k, 15k, and it'll just keep going up as I'm attacking, and it stacks 10 times. I believe the bats can activate it too, I don't remember actually. But now I'm at max stacks, and he's here to scream at me. Oh god, he's gonna scream. Anyway. So, yep, there it is. So, later on there's a hyper that I've been thinking about putting into, but you can always, I don't know, leave in the comments whether you think it's worth it or not. Then we also have Shadow Slip, which gives you a 40% chance to dodge an enemy's attack, and you also absorb 10% HP. or 10% HP, 10% damage, so you take less damage. Alright, so that is all 4th job. Let's move on to hypers. Add into all 3. Quintuple throw. Damage, boss damage. If you have 100% crit rate, you actually don't need this one, in which case you have an extra point to use. So, just for me, I did Dark Omen cooldown, because 20 seconds is reduced to 10 seconds, making it a lot more, like you can use it a lot more often, plus the 0.5 second as you're attacking. So pretty much it has no cooldown if you attack enough with this. So pretty good. It's also a great mobbing skill, so yeah. Dark Omen, increase the damage, because why not? However, I've been thinking about getting rid of the crit rate for quintuple and adding into max enemies hit. However, I don't think I ever run into more than like 8 enemies at a time, so I don't really know about that. So here's what I was talking about. So now, this will increase the HP boost by 300, making you gain 700 per stack. That's a lot of HP, and I'm thinking it's kind of worth it because of how squishy this class is. But I don't have it added in right now. You can leave it in the comments if you think it's worth it. And then the other 2 are just not really worth it, in my opinion. Maybe they used to be, but they're kind of out of date. Now, moving on to active hypers. Shadow Illusion. So remember how there's only one shadow partner with you, like one clone? Well, now you can have 2, or actually 3, 2 extra, but you get 3 in total when you use it. And with each clone, they do less and less damage. So the first one, of course, does 70%, the second one does 50%, and the last one does 30%, I believe was the numbers? Yes. So each one does less damage, but still, that's more lines more often. It's really good. Cooldown is 180 seconds, though. So, yeah. And it lasts for 30 seconds. And then we have, at 170, Dominion, which will change the background music, change the background itself. It says it grants you invincibility during throwing skills, but I've yet to see that work. So if somebody could explain that in the comments, I'd really appreciate it. I tried it at bossing. I haven't actually tried it at mobbing, but I assume it doesn't work as well there. Definitely doesn't work on percent HP attacks or anything like that. But anyway, so when you use stars or skills that are like I can't talk. So when you attack, you gain the max darkness stacks on enemies. So you know the ×5 or whatever. Not only that, but the bats that attack with you gain 20% final damage, and all of your attacks will be critical hits, and you have 100% knockback resistance. So your bats get stronger, you don't get knocked back. It's a great skill. Also, all of your attacks are critical, so again, really great. So here's what it looks like. It's gonna make me lag, but that's just a graphical issue, I think. Look at that. And there I just died. Alright, so let's throw some stars. As you can see, I'm still taking damage. So yeah, I don't know when it really activates, but I do love the music. Maybe it only works with this skill. Nope, still taking damage. So I don't know. Maybe it only means like when you activate it, that's when you get the invincibility. But again, just tell me in the comments. And lastly, Glory of the Guardians. So you and other Sickness Knights will gain 10% damage, which also stacks with the other Sickness Knights. And that's about it for Nightwalker. So let's show some mobbing, and then we'll go into the bossing. So if you're strong enough where your bats will one-hit enemies, I guess you could use your throwing skill, your throwing star, like just the quintuple throw. However, since I'm not that strong, ooh, let me use this. Let me recover some HP so I don't have to worry about dying. I actually just use the, the normal mobbing skill, the penetrating star, because it's actually really strong. So yeah. that's pretty much their mobbing, and as you can see, the bats are taking care of the upper row. The bats are really helpful. Like, really, really helpful. And, yeah, I think that's about it for Nightwalker. Except for the bossing, I gotta do the bossing, but... yeah, so let's move on to the bossing. Alright, so I explained it a little bit early in the video, but I'll explain it a little bit here as well. To jump attack, all you have to do is hold down the attack key, or the one that you use to attack, and jump. So press them at the same time, and then hold down both the attack and jump key. And you'll be able to jump attack. However, like I said, I'm going to link a video that, oh god, what was his name? I think his name is Austin, was it Zomygod Knit? I think? I'll just put it on the screen. I'll put it on the screen, and you can watch this video. I'll put the link in the description. But, anyway. So yeah, just attacking on the ground is much slower than if you jump attack. And you can really see that if I were to use, let's say, Lucky 7. Someone's calling me. So, you know, this is normal attacking on the ground. This is with booster, by the way. And this is with jumping. So you see you get an extra attack in there, and you also just attack much faster. So yeah, just wanted to explain that before I do the bossing. Oh my god. I hope you guys can't hear my phone vibrating. Apparently I'm getting very busy. Alright, so when it comes to bossing, before 5th job, Nightwalker's actually better than Night Lord. Because of this jump attacking mechanic. So what I like to do is either just go straight into jump attacking, or sometimes I'll actually use the hyper skill, so that I can have extra clones, bind him, and then also use Dominion. The thing about Dominion is, I don't really know if it's... I mean, it is really useful, but sometimes it just doesn't feel like it's worth using at some bosses. But anyway, I guess the added crit rate, knockback resistance, and stuff like that is super useful. So I take back my statement. And of course, if I didn't have the knockback resistance, I'd actually move away from him. So I probably would have like jumped away or something, used the backstep. But anyway, that's Nightwalker's bossing, and yeah, hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you in the next video.